with me here Fire, a bisexual advocate and activist, and one of the co-founders of Side B Philippines. They're a bi plus organization focused on bi visibility, SOGIE education, and employment equality. So that's really, really great. Thank you so much for hopping on. So my goal here is to have a fun and inspiring conversations with LGBTQs just like you, in hopes of letting other LGBTQs, especially the young ones, know that it's okay to be who they are, and just encourage them to walk their truth and live their authentic selves. I'm hoping that with these interviews, more LGBTQs will be able to see themselves in you, and they feel safer and have the courage to come out and live their true self. All right, so bye. Let's start off. And just in case, I really love the name Fire. Is there any story behind that?
Yeah, so I think it started with the chat room
Mhm.
back in the late 90s. So I'm old. We used to frequent a lot of online chat rooms, particularly there was one called Filipino Lesbians Online, or what we fondly called Flow at that time,
Flow.
and
Okay.
it was on gay.com. Um, and it was really where a lot of women, bi
Mhm.
women, lesbians, and trans men like myself would hang out. Although at that time I was still identifying as female, so
Mhm.
there was really no issue being with the girls. And my chat handle was Firewoman at that time. So when we meet up personally, and we used to do that, we used to meet up. They were called eyeballs during that time, like EGs. Yeah. And we would meet up. They would just abbreviate the chat names, so, or make it shorter, right?
So
So with
from
me,
Fire
everybody
Woman.
just called me Fire. And that has become a name that I used when I used to write as a
Mhm.
pseudonym before, but that became an actual nickname. um, and so in the LGBT plus community, they know me best as Fire. Um, yeah, pretty much that. It's been a long, long time. I've been in the advocacy for about maybe 20 plus years. So
Mhm.
it's been a really
Wow,
long, long
it's
time.
been a long
Yeah.
time.
So my friends just call me that now. It hasn't changed, and I'm quite comfortable with it. My
It's a
email
really
address is
lovely name.
firesia@gmail.com. So I use it, and I also used it recently for most of the online writing I did, and the contributions that I submitted. I would just use Fire. Yep. So
Awesome.
that's the
It's actually
story.
a yeah, it's actually a very, very good name. So I just wanted to to make it clear for everyone. Can you tell us what you identify as?
So I identify as transgender male.
Okay.
I identify as a trans man, most
Mhm.
commonly called a trans man. But I am bisexual. Definitely, that's my orientation.
Okay, so you
So
identify. Okay, go ahead.
my
Go ahead,
pronouns are
please.
he, his, and him. So
Okay,
those are my
he's in him.
pronouns.
Okay. I'll make sure to take note of that. So Fire is a trans man with a bisexual orientation. Okay, gotcha. All right. So when did you realize you identify as LGBTQ? Can you tell us a little bit about of your self-discovery?
Mm. Yeah, it's not a very interesting story.
Of course it is.
I always knew
You
when
always
I
knew.
was
Okay.
yeah, when I was 5 years old, I told my mom that I would grow up to be a good boy. So,
Ah.
and when you're young, you just relate to what is comfortable, right, to you.
Mhm.
So I guess that was the most comfortable. Essentially, that was corrected. Of course, your parents will correct you the first time,
Mhm.
especially back in what, the 80s. So of course they corrected it and said, no, you're a girl, so
Hmm.
okay, so you're a child, you just accept that, right? So I didn't give it much thought
Much thought,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the bisexual orientation, I've always known ever since I started getting attracted. I was attracted to men and women alike.
Hmm.
But at that time I was thinking that maybe it's just some sort of phase.
Hmm.
I was thinking, oh, maybe this is just a phase. I'm in high school, and there's a lot of exploration that happens here. So I will change when I grow up. So I had that consciousness that I would change when I grow up.
Okay, when you grow
I,
up.
I thought I would. I thought I would. Uh, I did not change. So
That's your true self. So no
yeah. So I
changes needed.
started. I started affirming my bisexual identity when I was in college, because
Okay.
I realized that that's what it was. However, I think what made it difficult was the fact that I think at that time the only thing I understood really before was gay and lesbian.
Hmm.
So I thought bisexual was a behavior. I saw it
Behavior.
as a behavior, yeah, more like a behavior rather than an attraction and an orientation. So I got a little confused at the start, and I was thinking, now one day I'm going to choose what I'm attracted to, and it's going to stay that way. Obviously, I didn't know that I had already made my choice. So I'm not half gay or half straight. I'm 100% bi, and it took a while. It took a while. And then I started thinking that maybe I'm really trans. As a matter of fact, I told one of my good friends and mentors, Ging Cristobal, no,
Yeah.
when
Mm.
when I was about 22 years old, I think. Yeah, that's 22 years ago. I told Ging that, Ging, I feel like I'm a bisexual. So she already knew I was bi. I already knew the term.
Mm.
I said I felt that I was a bisexual man trapped in a woman's body, and she thought
Ah,
that that
okay.
was very interesting at that time.
Mm.
I think the awareness on trans men
Hmm.
was not as out there before. I mean, trans women, maybe we all knew, but for trans men, it was rare, I guess. So she said, yeah, that's very interesting. I've never met anyone like you. And then apparently now there are a lot of people like me, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
is cool.
it was a
Yeah.
whole journey. Yeah, I mean, it was a whole journey. It took years, and that's only because there was very little information available
Hmm.
before. And then the people you talk to, it's either they were accepting or they were judgmental. So sometimes you just really don't know who to listen to.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was there any fear that you had of people knowing that you're a trans man and that you're bisexual? Any fear that you're identifying on the
Uh,
LGBTQ spectrum?
well, of course, I guess. Let's
Hmm.
just talk LGBT plus in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came from a relatively conservative family. I come from a relatively conservative family. I'm Chinese Filipino.
Hmm.
Um, so the background is really there are no LGBT Chinese. So this is what
Wow.
I learned growing up.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That's just a
so I was
stab
thinking
to
that
the heart. Like
that's why I was
hearing you
thinking
say
that it
that,
will
that
stop.
there's no, oh God, wow. And then,
Of course, it's not true. I know a lot of
yeah,
LGBT plus
yeah, I know, but
Pinoys.
to have that kind of, generalization that, like it's like an accepted fact. I wow, as a child growing up, I can't imagine how hard that must have been for you, you know?
Well, that's where it came from when I said that, oh, this is just a phase. It's going to go away
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah, because that's where it came from. So, yeah, so the hardest part was the family, I guess.
Hmm.
The easiest were the closest friends.
Friends.
And of course, there was more people now online in chat rooms and in groups, in email groups who you could talk to and reach out to. So I guess I found comfort there, but I wasn't fully out until I was about 26.
26. Okay.
Yeah.
So as we can see here, the advice really, if you're having a hard time maybe now that we have this technology communication, there's a lot of groups out there. There's a lot of people that you could reach out to. I think I remember Ging saying one of the advice that she gave in the past interview was come out to yourself first, and then find someone, even just one person, that could provide you support. And then eventually, once you're ready to come out, I think this is also one of the advice that I'm giving people that I know. Like when you're comfortable, come out to that person. Because sometimes they would ask me, should I tell this and that? And I'm like, it's your story to tell. When you're ready to tell them, then you can tell them that. All right. Who was the very first person you came out to, and why this person?
I don't remember. I don't even know if it's coming out per se, because essentially inside of me, I just felt that really nothing was wrong with me.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
that I
great.
felt that my family thought something was wrong with me. So I guess there were two conflicting ideas there. Um, in high school, I told not a classmate, a neighbor. I told a girl that I had a crush on her, and then the funny thing was I had a boyfriend. But yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was really a coming out, but I
Yeah. So
trusted her well enough not to react. Or oh, she did not. She did not overreact. It was okay. Actually, it was okay. She just said, "Well, I don't really go for this kind of thing, but
thank you.
okay, thanks for letting me know." In all fairness, it was
That's
pretty good.
great. Yeah,
It's a good
that's great.
experience. But the real, I guess, coming out, as in coming out and saying that this is how I am. I'm attracted to women, and but honestly, I first came out to my friends in college, and they all thought I was a lesbian, because I guess it was just hard to come out as a bisexual before, because people will
Mhm.
tell you, definitely they will tell you, so when are you going to decide? Or
Oh,
so
there's
so does
always
that
that
this yeah so does that mean you want to have both a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same
at the
time?
same
Or
time.
which is really not easy. It's not easy to do that, so why would I do that? I just thought about it before. And so I to be on the safe side, if I'm going to come out as part of the LGBT plus community, then I'll just tell them I'm a lesbian. It was the easiest.
It's more people have
Yeah,
a grasp of what it means.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
you like girls. Yeah, okay. I didn't even tell anyone I was trans, because I let go of
Mm,
that idea, because I'm thinking that I should be content with my body. I should be content with my identity at this point.
mm.
I was born female, so why am I going to change that, right? I mean, as I just told myself, I'm probably complicating it. So I didn't come out as trans till about 3 years ago, really, to be frank about it. But
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
so yeah, friends in college, one friend in high school,
One friend.
and then
Okay.
yeah.
And I wanted to touch on the bisexuality thing, because a lot of people do not understand what it
Yeah.
means. Like a lot of people, as you mentioned, would ask you, when do you choose, or it means that. So
Yeah.
could you give a little bit of an explanation of how it is, as how we
Yeah,
should understand it?
sure. I mean, it's just like, well, like I said, right? I'm not half gay or half straight or half lesbian or half. I'm not. I'm actually 100% bi. I'm attracted to more than one gender.
Mhm.
I would say that that's the best definition I can give at this point. Um, it's just that I guess gender doesn't. And I used to say this. I just really have a the way I look at love is really genderless.
Yeah,
It's really
should
how I
be.
see a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I am attracted to everything that walks on 2 feet. Definitely, that is not how it works. I have standards. So I think
I love that. I have
I,
standards.
I have
Just because
standards.
I'm
Yeah, I do.
bisexual, it doesn't mean I don't have standards.
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah,
people
yeah.
actually think that. And it's the same way. Like if you are a lesbian, people automatically
Yeah,
think that
people
every
think that
woman, right?
you're
You're going to
attracted
go
to.
for every
Right, right.
woman. That's
Yeah,
not true. You have standards, right? So I
exactly.
have standards. I have taste. I have preferences. So no, I'm not
What are
attracted
like
to
the
everything.
common misconceptions about bisexuals that you want to say, no, this is not what bisexual means?
Definitely, yeah. Bisexual, number one, is really just a sexual orientation wherein you're attracted to more than one gender, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you would like to get in a relationship with everybody at the same time, or
At
with
the
everyone
same
you're
time.
attracted to at the same time.
At
That's
the
not
same
like
time.
that.
It's always at the
Yeah,
same time, right? Like
yeah. So
I think
I
they
will
mean, what was the word for that? Is that poly something? Like
more
if
like
you
polyamory or bigamy. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So maybe
So
they mean that, so it's not the same as bisexual.
no, it's
Just
not.
just an
Polyamory
FYI.
and yeah, polyamory and
Yeah.
bigamy are behaviors and preferences of people because that's what they want, not because they
Yeah.
are bi. So I know
Yes.
polyamorous lesbians, I know
Yeah.
polyamorous gay people. I know these, I know people personally,
Yeah.
but being bisexual doesn't
Equal.
predict that for you, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Awesome.
Um, maybe another thing I also wanted to say is if you're bi, it also doesn't mean you're greedy. Some people say that
Oh,
you're attracted
wow.
to everyone, so you're greedy. What?
You want it
You're not
all.
greedy. No, it's not like that. It's just that you have, I guess, you just have a wider scope of
Mm.
choices, I would say, but it doesn't really mean wider either. Because,
It-
like I said, everybody has standards.
yes,
So your
that's true.
standards are limitations, definitely, to what you want. Um, and they still, they're just standards. It's just that your standards span across more than one gender. That's it.
Yeah, that's really it. That's simple. Wow. I never heard that greedy thing about bisexual.
It's
This is the first
everywhere.
time it's everywhere. Wow.
Uh,
All right. I wanted to ask, what was a film or a book character that you first related to? Like when you saw that character or read that character, you were like, yeah, that's me. I think for me, when I was a kid, for example, the first character that I related to was actually Belle of Beauty and the Beast. Because I was
hmm.
such a book nerd, and then I came from a small island, and then I was like, there must be more to this provincial life. So that Belle was that for me, but that part of her. So for you, who was that?
I don't know. I'm gonna sound like a nerd, but frankly speaking, I think that what attracted me most that I could relate to in literary work and and stories would be characters who actually had double lives. So
Ah,
yeah, every time I would read something and there's a character who would have a double life, but not because they want to, but because it's a society thing or they had
yeah.
to, right?
Mhm.
So
They were,
there's no person in particular, but maybe some examples are, let's say in Les Miserables, you have Jean Valjean, who
yeah,
right was a criminal and then he
and
got back
then
into society,
yeah,
turned into a mayor and etc.
yeah.
And then you have probably the Count of Monte Cristo, which is
Mm,
essentially almost the same story, right? Line where the protagonist was thrown in prison, but then he broke
mhm.
out somehow and then just lived a different life. So I think that I related quite closely to these kinds of characters because maybe at that time I felt like I was living a double life. I was in the
Mhm.
closet at the start and it was very difficult. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
and even
like
when I was
how?
young, yeah,
Yeah, now I feel so bad with my answer. No, I'm kidding.
it's okay.
Yeah, like I think like from what I'm getting from your answers, like it's like this characters were branded as something by society, but
Hmm.
then they broke away from that and like, no, that is not me, that is not who I am. I can be whoever and whatever I want to be. So yeah, that's really nice. From a young age, you were so you have such depth. Wow. And here I am saying Belle.
I respect Belle very much. She's a very brave character. I really do, and she's very open minded. So I gotta give
Well, yeah.
props to you.
Yeah. And then about I wanted to ask us, what do you think about the representation that we have in local TV and film industry?
Very good question. It's not perfect. It's never perfect.
Hmm.
Minorities, LGBT plus people will always be represented using stereotypes.
Yeah.
But I think that there has been a huge improvement.
Hmm.
Maybe in the mainstream, no, but in more movies, more TV
Like the
shows, I
indie
think the
ones,
representation is better. I'd say.
it's better.
Yeah, indie films have great representation most of the time. They still have some stereotypes, which is okay because the stereotypes are there to remind us that there are also those people, right? We can't
Yeah.
erase them.
Yeah.
They're a visible part of our history as LGBT plus people. They are the brave people, actually. Trans women, right? Effeminate gay men, masculine
Yes.
lesbians, right? These are people who have been out ever since,
That
and
is true.
and we need to understand that these people will always be in media, and that's
Hmm.
okay. But
I
I
love
think
I love
what's
that I love that you put it that way because to be honest, I before I realized I was queer. So I have a trans sister. So from the start, I think I thought she was gay, and then she came out eventually as a trans woman. And I was always her defender when we were young. I think the age gap is just she's 2 years older than me, and I was always tagging along with her, and I always thought that the lesbians and the gays, because that's the only thing that I understood. I never knew trans women or trans men. um, that's the bravest you can get, because even though society mocks you or is not approving of who you are, they come out there every day just being who
mm,
they are, and they just, I'm going to be who I am. You could disapprove, you could mock me, I'm just going to walk my truth. So uh, I think that's the bravest one can be. And then I realized as well that I thought I was such an ally, because I thought, I was still identifying as a straight person. I thought I was such
yeah.
an ally, I was such a defender of my trans sister. And then I realized, I had an introspection, that I actually had a problem with butch lesbians and trans men, which is totally, I would admit, I am so sorry. I was such an ass. I was only accepting of a few. And, I would say, you know what, I'm okay with you. But in my mind, I'm like, I'd rather that you dress like this, talk like this, walk like this. So every time, like, I had a butch friend, like, I'm very comfortable. She was a housemate, so I actually had to tell her this, that I am so sorry, because I was only accepting, like, as an example of her, and the rest, those people that I don't even know, I just, I would just, maybe in an elevator, I would share a ride with that person, and then I would feel irritated. And so, really, and even when I was already identifying as LGBTQ, I started Love is Love, and then I had a self reflection. What is wrong with me? And only then, when I acknowledged that there isn't anything wrong with trans men and butch lesbians, there's actually something wrong with me. When I acknowledged that, that's when I started not having these biases anymore. So really, even if you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, even if you identify in this spectrum, there's always that bias still, as you said. Um, Especially, I think, to trans men and trans women. And I really am very, very sorry. Um, I, it's now out in the open. I actually wrote an article about this, and I think I'm going to send you the link. And I'm so
Okay.
glad that I met you and that I spoke with you, because I think I owe it to all of you guys to say this, and that I'm sorry. Yeah, now that's out. Um, um, yeah.
You know what? I'll,
So,
I'll tell you something, and you will find this very funny, I think. Not too many years ago, and not too many years ago, at the state that I am at this point, right?
mhm,
I've always been masculine. I've been masculine for a long time, although I haven't identified as trans before, right?
mhm.
I actually had butch phobia.
Oh wow. So what is
Surprise.
it? What does that feel like? Like the butch
So
phobia?
that
You like?
is more of me sitting in Starbucks or some cafe, and then this barcada or a group of butch women, or maybe they're trans men, I don't know.
Mhm.
They will sit in the next table. What I do is I take one look at them and think that people are gonna think I know these people, so I'm gonna move to the other table.
Oh. Oh
And so
wow.
I just wanted to disassociate myself before, and my friends know this.
Mhm.
I was very open about my butch phobia because I wanted to fix it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So in all fairness, I think that was, I guess, acknowledging and accepting my own masculinity, and coming out as trans helped me out. I'm happy to say that I no longer feel that way because I'm already more comfortable.
Yay.
Yeah, but before it was horrible. So that's why I was
Yeah.
kind of laughing in my head when you were telling me about it. I'm like, oh my god, you must be kidding me.
Oh wow. So what what can you say to those people who are still in the closet, or maybe are still afraid to come out and live their authentic self, or maybe having trouble accepting um, who they are? So let's do it two
um,
parts.
yeah, okay. Um, well, like what Ging said to you, what's important first is you know yourself,
Mhm.
you understand yourself, and you accept yourself. Sometimes self acceptance is hard,
Mhm.
especially if you have barriers. They could be values, morals, families, or what you think are values and morals.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's religion. Those are things that you will just really need to acknowledge that will always be there. They'll always be there, right? But it's really up to you if you want to love yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important that you don't despise yourself, because a lot of people, they have hard time accepting themselves because they despise themselves, and that's only because of the opinion that they have of people, quote unquote, like them,
Yes,
right? So
that's
I
true.
think that self acceptance is very, very important as a first step, coming out to yourself, acknowledging it. If you're not sure what you are, like me before, I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I still came out as LGBT plus. I knew that I was not, definitely not part of the straight community. I knew that,
Mhm.
or the cisgender community. I knew that. So I think just basically acknowledging that first is very helpful. And then, you know what, you'll always be you.
Mhm.
Knowing yourself better does not change you. You just became more aware of who you are,
Yeah.
and that's okay. So sometimes people think that when they come out to themselves or to other people, it changes them. No, it doesn't change you. You're still you. It's just
Yeah.
that, you got a weight lifted off your shoulders. You know yourself better. And frankly speaking, if you're worried about people unfriending you or leaving you or whatever, I'll
You
be
deserve
very
better
blunt
friends.
about it. Yeah, I'll be blunt about it. You deserve better friends, seriously.
Yeah.
People who have known you for the past 10, 15 years all of a sudden are going to say, ew, you're part of that community, so we're not friends anymore.
Oh
Good
wow.
riddance. I'm sorry,
Yes.
but right, you will find better
Nah,
friends. That's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then after that, work towards what you can work out. Like me, I honestly, I only came out late in life because I
Mhm.
was not yet independent. So of course I'm worried. I didn't want to be thrown out of my house right away. So given the situation, I had to calculate my risks.
Mhm.
And I followed my calculations. I came out at a time when I was independent. I came out at a time when I was not living in my house
Mhm.
anymore because I wanted to be prepared for a less painful separation from my family, just in case. The good news is
Eh,
we're okay, but
that's
but it was a
great.
process. For
Yeah.
my parents, it was a real long
It's
process.
a long process.
But
Okay.
yeah, but you need to prepare yourself for that. I mean, I'm not saying all families will be that way. Of course not. Some families
Mhm.
will immediately just say, "So we already knew."
Yeah.
Just say that, and it's fine. But there are still some who are old-fashioned and probably, will just say,
Yeah.
"Oh no, you can't live with us if you're like that, whatever." Just be prepared for everything because, frankly speaking, sometimes you'll never know what's gonna happen. So be prepared for a situation, have enough for yourself, and make sure that you can be independent without much support. That's just me, and
True.
this is based on my experience. Like some other people
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
way better experiences, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, and emotionally too. I mean, if you're the farther you are, the better you can handle the emotion, right? That
The
rather than seeing your family every
physical.
day or
Oh
your
yeah.
friends every day, yeah. And then every day you know that they're thinking something bad about you, then that's sad. So you want to distance yourself physically, right? Not necessarily emotionally, but that helps.
Mhm.
Yep. And then, just build the relationship from there and it will come. I think it will come eventually. I mean, parents love their children in general. So
Yeah.
it should help. Yeah. So I think that's just for me. And of course, educate yourself, right? Come
Yeah.
out when you can. Come out as how you identify. Know your SOGIE, right? Your sexual
Mhm.
orientation, gender identity, and expression. Know it
Mhm.
and acknowledge it. So at least, educate yourself. So when people ask you, at least you're not going to sound confused. You're not going to sound like you don't know what you are because you do, right? You really do. Sometimes people just don't have a name for it, but they know.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes. Yes.
that's it.
All right. And I wanted to ask, what is your hope for the future?
Oh, that's very interesting. One day I was telling people that we will not need any laws to protect us. We won't need anti-discrimination ordinances. We don't need a national law to protect LGBT plus people. We will not need we will not need any law to pass for us to be able to marry our partners regardless of the sex at birth that we had or we were born with. That is my hope for the future, that
Yeah.
there will be absolutely no discrimination. I think that I'm just shooting for the stars here, but
Yeah.
you know what, yeah, but that doesn't mean to remove all these things that protect
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
now,
And yeah,
right?
I
Yeah,
know what you
they're
mean.
there.
Like that acknowledgement of everyone, that people understand that when the Constitution says all people, it
It
includes
means all
all
people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. And okay, let me think of other questions. I think we're. Let me just wrap this up with one last question. Now,
Sure.
with all the negativity going on, and with this pandemic, how do you keep yourself grounded and centered?
Well, I have a full-time job. I'm happy about that. So, of course, I'm busy working. I
Mhm.
work 5 days a week, sometimes more.
Oh
I
wow.
work in I work in the BPO industry, so that is my
Mhm.
reality. I'm in training and quality, so it's a busy job. And I think, as everybody knows, that through the pandemic, the BPO industry stayed afloat. Everybody was still working. We did not stop.
Oh
We did
yeah.
not stop
Wow.
working. Yeah, we didn't stop. So the BPO industry is still working. It's still there. So I'm happy and grateful that this has not stopped and derailed us. So
Mhm.
while I'm grateful for that, so that keeps me into my reality check. Really, it keeps me inside the reality check. Next is, well, I'm active in Side B, so
Side B. Yeah.
we do some webinars. We've guested in some corporate events recently to talk about SOGIE, or well, this
No,
year there
that's
was a lot
nice.
of focus. Yeah, this year there's a lot of focus on bisexuality. We also talk about the employment situation in the Philippines for LGBT folks and how we as private companies can be more inclusive. I think I would say
Mhm.
inclusive, diverse, and inclusive. So I mean, we've taken a look at a lot of things, from hiring policies to
Yeah.
even the bathroom policy, right? Even the dress code policy. So these
Yes.
are things we were busy with, and I'm very happy to say that this was the busiest year for Side B Philippines, despite the pandemic. And other personal stuff going on. I cook, so between me and my partner and I, we usually like cook for each other. I do most of it for now, but it's nice. I like it. I like keeping busy,
Yeah.
and just basically making sure that you work within your capacity at the moment. So if we can't really go out much, that's okay. So we do other
Yeah.
things. My partner has started learning new skills also at home. No, she's not a plantita. It's not plants. It's other things. And then with me, I'm launching a book in a
Oh,
few weeks.
nice.
So yeah, so that. that didn't really keep me busy per se because it has been written in the past 20 years, across 20 years. So the time I spent was really just picking what to put in it, and
Uh-huh.
working with my friend who's a layout artist, and we're launching it. It's literary.
Nice.
So yeah, we're very excited. So that's been keeping me busy and keeping
That's
me
really
quite
nice.
occupied. Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on, you mentioned the employment equality that your organization is working on. Thank you so much for doing that. And is there any like as you mentioned, there are a lot of things that you guys looked at. How's the situation in the employment equality thing? Um, are we still, is there a lot of much more work to do? I'm not even
There
aware,
is
that
definitely.
aware. I mean, I'm not even
There's
that aware. If you could
definitely.
give us like how did you come about with this? Like what did you guys find out about the
Yeah, there's
employment?
definitely a lot of work to do. So one of the things that we're very happy about is the improvement in hiring and HR practices
Mm,
across the Philippines, and this is mainly brought about by the influx of multinational companies that come in.
mhm,
One of the industries is yes, the BPO industry. The BPO industry takes practices from their mother offices in Western countries or other countries, and whatever is applicable to the law here, they apply,
mhm.
which is great. Because what has that brought us? That has brought us in the industry. Well, some of us, not all. So let me just be clear: there are still companies that are struggling with their policies, but
Mhm.
that has brought us things like, for example, a unified dress code, which doesn't dictate a male and female dress code. It just tells you what you're not allowed to
Nice.
wear, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what your assigned sex is. It doesn't matter. You just, if one if in the guideline it says you can't wear flip flops, then everyone can't wear flip
Everyone.
flops. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's a good one. There are also practices put in, like being able to enroll your partner in your HMO or your health insurance. So
Wow.
where I work
Nice.
now, it's like that. We can do that. Um, and in other companies also, that is already allowed. And of course, the recent statement on Philippine insurance, wherein you can actually choose your beneficiary. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be, yeah, a relationship,
It's a
somebody
that's
related
a
to you. Yeah.
That's a funny story because I think 5, 6 years ago, I had to argue my
Oh no.
beneficiary. Yeah, I had to argue with, I could say it's Sun Life. We were getting an insurance, my partner and I. Of course, I wanted her to be my beneficiary, and same as hers, I should be hers. And then it wasn't, at that time there was no law. So this was 6 years ago. The law I think just came out this year, or was it last year? That you can now
Yeah.
choose. So I argued, I actually looked at their papers, and then I found a loophole that I could play at. And then I said, my partner and I, Mishi, my partner and I, we are under contract in a house, in a condo unit. So I
Mm.
said, if I die, then she'll be, financially something something. I wrote an email and then same as hers, and then that's how we got approved. And I felt really bad that what if not
Yeah.
everyone would have that diligence, due diligence, look at the contracts and see if there are loopholes that you could raise. And then
Yeah.
so I was really happy when the insurance companies now are saying, hey, you could choose whoever you want. It doesn't have to be blood relation or that you're married to. So yeah,
Right.
lots of improvements going on.
The insurance commission though clarified that the law never changed. They said it's just really a matter of how people were interpreting it.
Interpretation.
So,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. If you read the
Yep.
statement that they sent out, they said that it was really a matter of interpretation. It hasn't
Yeah.
changed. They did not actually change anything. They just
Yeah.
sent a communication that it's allowed because essentially nobody ever said it wasn't.
Yeah. And people were just, as a society, everything about us. It's like, no, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. LGBTQ.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. So, but now that's really good that they clarified that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want, if ever your book comes out, let me know. Um, I'd be happy to support and promote. And is there any webinars that you guys have going on? We could post that link or invite people
I'll
out
share
there.
it. I'll share it with you. I'll share them with you once we have more. We just finished
Mhm.
our conference, so we call it Bacon PH, which
Bacon.
basically means, yeah, Bisexual Awareness Conference Philippines. Um, yeah, so we made it creative so that people wouldn't find
Oh, I
it
love bacon.
boring. Yeah, we call because everybody loves bacon, and
Yeah,
we always say that this year side B is serving up some bacon, so people know that it's
that's
the second year
nice.
we've done it. Yeah, we did it virtually.
And-
It was nice. We had guests from Canada, from Denmark, from the US, who
I
attended
love
because it's
it.
virtual, so it's cool. And we did talk about employment equality there too. It's one of our advocacies. um, yeah, and there are a lot of things I can share with you that we've worked on, and we're probably planning a few more items, I guess, in the future. We were just really super busy in September. It was Bisexual Awareness Month
Mhm.
in September, so that was super busy. And then usually we come up with a survey every year. I think this year we skipped it because of the pandemic. Of course, we had to fix our lives before we did anything. And of course, we had to accommodate the other invitations as well. So we were not able to release one. But hey, it's still Q4 of the year, so we might still be able to. But every year we release a survey related to employment equality. That's what we do. So we find out what people feel about the employment practices, guidelines in
Mhm.
HR, and these are important to us. We find out about the implementation of gender neutral washrooms, if there is any or
Yeah.
there are any. We find out how people are treated at the during hiring acquisition, like in the hiring process. I mean, are you actually asked if you're part of the community? We ask these questions.
Oh.
Do people use your correct pronoun? Do they even ask you
Mhm.
about your correct pronoun? Do they address you using your birth name or your nickname? I mean, frankly speaking, if you're a company and on your application form it says nickname, you normally expect people to use it. So
Yeah.
why is it there? Yeah, why is it there, right? If you're not going to use it as a recruiter, so
Yeah.
might as well. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that, small things that people think are small, but will have a really great impact to the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, of course, the discrimination. It's like a sub. You know, it's a subconscious thing when all of these things are being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Okay, I really had a great time talking with you, Fire. It was really great meeting you. And any last words that you want to say? Where can they follow you? Um, in
Yeah,
social
sure. So
media,
we have a lot of social media. I think that on Facebook, they just need to search Side B Philippines. So in that
Side B
order.
Philippines.
Uh-huh. And our webpage pops up. It's very bisexual. The bi colors
Very.
are pink, blue, and purple. You will see that on the page. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook. On Instagram, we are at Side B Phil, PHIL. On
Okay,
Twitter, we are Side BPH. So
Side B PH.
there's a little bit of a difference there. Oh, and
Mhm.
because we deal with employment practices and HR and stuff, we're also on LinkedIn. So just search
Oh
Side
yeah,
B
yeah.
Philippines and follow us on LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, those are our social media presence accounts, and we hope to see people there. We got a really good following in Facebook, so yeah, but we want to enrich, the other social media platforms. So we've been a little bit more active recently.
Awesome. All right, I just gave you a follow on Instagram, and I would check out.
Thank you.
Not active in Twitter, but I'll check out your Facebook. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you again so much, Fire, and I really had a great time. Hope you had a great time too.
I did. You're welcome, and thank you for talking to me today. This is very refreshing. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks again. Talk soon.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.